The Life Changer, Chapter 2 continues. I was not to know what transpired before I came to the departmental office. The secretary was busy eating away at a computer. She was visibly a woman of few words. She raised her head, assessed that I was a new student, and asked what she could do for me. I said I was there for my matric number. She just nodded towards the door beside her. On it was written HOD. I knocked timidly at the door and waited. "Come in," came the rasped reply. I went in and was shocked to find that the HOD here was also a very young person. He sat resplendent behind his mighty desk and was scribbling away on some paper as I entered. He stopped writing and looked up. I saw at once that he had tribal marks which were rare in these times. They betrayed his ancestral origin. He was obviously an Igala person or Yoruba. I had no doubt about that. The crucifix dangling across his chest from the necklace he wore told me his religious inclination. I was instantly filled with apprehension without knowing why. "Yes, young lady, what can I do for you?" he asked. "I am a new student, sir. I came for my matric number." I was still standing. "Sit down, my dear." I sat down. I know that I would always pass a test on etiquette. You're in a person's office, you never sit down even if there are 100 other unoccupied seats until you are invited to sit. For some reason, I found his enduring salutation slightly discomforting. You do not just go about calling everybody your dear, unless it meant something. I was immediately on my guard. The kind of things I heard Salma say about university lecturers filled me with foreboding. Of course, the young lecturer who talked to her was humble and nice. That ought to have dispelled my doubt, but it did not. I still had some reservations. The name pennant on his desk said simply, Samuel Johnson, PhD. "You're among the first to report for registration," he said. "Yes, sir," I responded, wishing it would just assign me my number and get done with it. "What's your name?" he asked as he pulled a file towards himself. We were still analog then, but I do not think a lot of things have changed since my schooling days, concerning record keeping, I mean. "My name is Umi Ahmad," I said. He nodded into his file, then casually asked if I needed something to drink. "No, thank you, sir," I said rather too quickly. Suddenly, the office was becoming oppressive. I developed an instant, irrepressible feeling of claustrophobia. Why would your head of department offer you a drink just because you went for registration? This was how it got started. I decided to tell him I was married, but I quickly changed my mind. One thing I learned in life is never to volunteer information unless specifically asked. "You look beautiful and decent in your attire," he said as I stood up to come and sit on the sofa near the visitor's chair where I was seated. This was too much, I thought. Why would he be trying to make conversation with me when all I wanted was the metric number? Suddenly, the image of Salma loomed over my face. I could hear her saying all lecturers are the same. If you are a boy, they ask you for money, and if you are a girl, they ask you for a date. Surely this man would not be trying to make a pass of me. What was his business with my attire? I knew I was not wearing my hijab, but I was dressed in such a way that even those wearing the hijab would wish they were that covered. Of course, my entire face was exposed. I did not think there was anything wrong with that. Indeed, my husband and I had since come to the conclusion that the incalcitrant male would always misbehave irrespective of what the woman wears. This put me on my guard. Our students should emulate your style of dressing. I hope you're as intelligent upstairs as you are decent in appearance. You're better than I imagined. Something was wrong, either with my hearing or with the man seated beside me on the sofa. It looked every inch responsible, yet I could not make head or tail of what he was blabbering about. All I wanted was to get out of that office. You're better than I imagined. What the hell was the meaning of that? Sir, please, can I have my metric number now? I am pressed. That last was a lie. I just wanted him to let me go. His response shocked me. No problem, my dear. You can use my toilet. No, sir, it is not allowed. Who disallowed it? This is my office, remember. Unless, of course, if you were not pressed in the first place. No, I was. I am. Okay, thank you, sir. I was totally confused. I knew it was improper what I said, and now I was commuted. He stood up and went and sat behind his desk, perchance to give me room to maneuver and enter the toilet. I mustered enough courage and entered the toilet. I came out a few moments later after flushing the toilet. It made a satisfactory gurgling noise, which to my ear convinced the man that I must have discharged something. Still, the feeling was uncomfortable. Indeed, it was very embarrassing. I'm not sure if I would be able to face the man again. It was buried in the fire before him. I told myself that I had enough embarrassment for one day. With or without the number, I was leaving. Here is the metric number, he said, as if reading my thoughts. You are UG0001. I pray, as you are the first here, you would be the first in everything. For some reason, I was genuinely angry with this surreptitious overture. Thank you, I said almost rudely and made my way out of the office. You still find it necessary to send a secretary after me to inform me that I had to proceed to the 100 level coordinator for further registration. I distinctly remember seeing him smile as I left his office. I was too angry to make anything of the smile at the time. But why were you angry, Mommy? Bint asked curiously. To tell you the truth, I really didn't know then. With knowledge of hindsight now, I think I was angrier at myself than I was at him because really he didn't say or do anything rude that would warrant such reaction. So what happened after you saw the coordinator? My registration went smoothly from that moment on, and by the end of the day, that was around 4 o'clock in the evening, I was thoroughly exhausted. I took a tricycle home. And what's a tricycle, Mommy? Bint asked. Keke napep, Tima replied awkwardly. Continue, Mommy. By the time I got home, your father was not yet back from the office. I hurriedly prepared his dinner, which He normally took early and had my bath. When he returned, I waited for him to eat and rest, and I was about to start narrating the story of my first day in the university when he said, "You just can't be too sure with people these days." Yes, dear, what happened? Hmm, it is a long story. It has to do with our neighbor. Which of them? The quiet one. The quiet one. That man cannot harm a fly. You never know with people, my dear. Suddenly, that expression reminded me of my experience at the office of the HOD earlier. Yes, I said, you never know with people. Imagine what happened to me in school today. He seemed to suddenly remember. I'm sorry, sweetheart. What happened in the school? Please forgive me. I forgot to ask. I told him nothing much happened. Then I went ahead to narrate my registration experience that morning. From the long queue at the first registration point to the Salma incident and down to the HOD's office. I left nothing out. Indeed, as I told him about the HOD, I supplied additional commentary on the incident. I did not bother hiding my anger. My husband was listening to me with a bemused expression on his face. I didn't quite understand his facial expression. What's his name? My husband asked. I cannot really remember, dear. Why? Is it Dr. Samuel Johnson? I was shocked. Yes, I said simply. Is his face scarified? I looked blankly at him. I mean, does he have tribal marks on his face? Yes, he has. It looks like an Igala or a Yoruba man. Do you know him? My husband doubled up in fits of laughter. He almost fell out of his chair. Then he got hold of himself and affected a seriousness which I knew he did not feel and looked almost pitifully at me. He is Yoruba, he said. That is Dr. Sam John, all right. He is my friend. I stared open mouthed at my husband. He saw the surprise on my face and added, actually, he was the one who assisted me with your admission. And that's the end on chapter 2.